What it do, and welcome to Allow Me to Butt in Sports. My name is Rue, and we're going to go over some expectations you should have for this Dallas Cowboys offense for the upcoming 2022 football season. And I'm going to tell you right now, if we're just going to dive right into it, a lot of people have been focused on the losses, right? We've lost a lot of pieces when it comes to the offensive side of the football. I mean, we lost Amari Cooper, which obviously a lot of people think is a pretty big one. We lost Lyle Collins to the Cincinnati Bengals. We lost Connor Williams and Cedric Wilson to the Miami Dolphins. And here's the thing. I feel like the Cowboys, in all reality here, they planned for all this stuff, and it's basically the changing of the guard especially when it comes to this offense and this defense when we really think about it in retrospect. But if we focus on the offense, this team is ready for what just happened to it, right? Because we drafted CeeDee Lamb to be the number one receiver on this team for this franchise. That's the reason he got the number 88 on his back, to be the number one receiver for this team. And I think in year 3, his second full year with Dak Prescott, because obviously his rookie year, Dak got hurt, had that gruesome ankle injury. This is a full year removed. He's played a full season after that, gruesome ankle injury. And now, we're going to get Dak's running ability back. He's going to be used a lot more in this, moving around, bootlegging, play action, all that stuff that has been very successful for this offense. And not to mention, this is just the point of why we got CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb is supposed to be the number one for this team, and I feel like he's going to step right in and fill that void right off the bat. I don't think that I have any doubt in my mind that he is going to fulfill that wide receiver one role. Now, when it comes to everything else, right, let's not forget how talented and how skilled Michael Gallup truly is, okay? When it comes to Michael Gallup, he's probably one of the most underrated players in this league, and the only reason we got him for the price that we got him is because the man got hurt, and that stuff happens, okay? And if you remember the play he got hurt on, it's an amazing catch for a touchdown. Let's just put it that way. And, these things happen. But him coming back at full strength, joining the likes of who I feel like is probably the steal of the draft in the 3rd round with Jalen Tolbert. Jalen Tolbert was South Alabama's offense. This dude had 1,476 yards just this past season. His quarterback only threw for 2,470 yards. He accounted for 80% of the offense. It's insane what he was able to do. And I don't hear anybody saying anything about Christian Watson just because all of a sudden he's going to just fill in and Green Bay's just going to go on about their business with this guy who's never even cracked 1,000 yards at North Dakota State as a Bison. But when I'm talking about Jalen Tolbert, it's insanity to think that this kid, with the amount of ability that he had, because it wasn't just last season, his junior year he put up over 1,000 yards as well. This kid's going to fill a void in this offense in that wide receiver spot. He might even end up being the number 2 at 6'3" with his ability to beat you down the field, play anywhere on the field at that wide receiver spot. He's got route running. He's got good hands. The kid's got strength. He's 6'3", and I think there's no ceiling on what could happen with Jalen Tolbert. And I think that's the reason that Dak Prescott reached out immediately after drafting him. Now, when it comes to the offensive linemen on this team, Connor Williams, I feel like it was an unusual loss. Obviously, he's only 25. We sent him over to Miami, and obviously the loss of Lyle Collins on that right tackle spot, it's a loss. But I feel like with Terrence Steele at that right tackle spot, that's why they picked him up, right? He's 25, year 3. It's time to step up. It's time to fill that void. It's time to become the right tackle for the Dallas Cowboys. And I think Terrence Steele will be able to take over that spot. I think he's going to be able to do what they drafted him to do and fill in that void of Lyle Collins. And now when it comes to the guard, we still have Zach Martin. And Tyler Smith, because of how raw he is, he's still going to play in that left guard spot. So we're good at guard, and Tyron's still there at the left tackle spot. So you're fine on that offensive line, pending the health of everybody, of course, but you're still looking good on that offensive line. And they have depth. They drafted a guy in Matt Willetsko, who everybody's been impressed with at OTAs. And there's, Tyler Biotis, and there's other people that they've put in those positions where the offensive line, I feel like, is going to come into its own this season. When it comes to everything else, I feel like now is the time of the changing of the guard for the Dallas Cowboys. Because in year 6, for Dak Prescott in his full season, right, it's this is that time where, dude, this is his team now. Because there is no more, big brother to him anymore. He is the leader, unequivocally. Even with Tyron Smith and Zach, the linemen are going to rally behind their quarterback. That's just natural, I feel like, for that position. But when it comes to Dak, in this year 6 that he's about to have, I feel like this is that time to go into that next step. Because I don't like to rank these guys, because for me, I have more than top five guys in my head, I feel like, because I feel like some of these guys are closer. I feel like there's only 2 that are just above everybody else. But when it comes to the tiers, Dak Prescott is knocking on the door. There's no question to me that he's right outside. Just all we need is a little bit more consistency. And the thing is, I hate to harp on the stats, because when you look at the stats, it's like, how do you not have him there already? But you can't just look at the stats, because there's plenty of times where I could look at stats, man, and I can tell you, like, there's multiple games, over 400 yards, over 500 yards, lost by 10, lost by 11. Come on, man. I don't care about the garbage time stats. And stats are not everything. And I'm not saying that all of his stats are garbage time stats. He's done a lot in this league. He won Rookie of the Year. He went 13-3. He just came off a 12-5 season. Dak Prescott has been an admirable quarterback in this league. He's just not in the room with the elite guys in the league yet. And I feel like this is that season. When we're talking about expectations, this is that season. He's been knocking on the door. You got your legs back out from underneath you now. You got good people around you in terms of weapons. These are your guys now. There's a reason these guys flew out to Miami. You know what I'm saying? They still have Dalton Schultz. These guys will go out. They got together. They're running around. I know a lot of them are doing stuff like this, but I don't see anybody else all together, all at once, going to somewhere. None of them go to Miami. I don't think there was a single Miami Hurricane in that group, in that picture. That I'm sure you guys know exactly what I'm talking about, as we've seen Dak with Jalen Tolbert, CeeDee Lamb, Dalton Schultz, and Zeke was in the bathroom apparently for the picture. But either way, I'm not even going to get into all that. Ultimately, these guys are doing everything that they can to make sure that this offense stays one of the top offenses that it was in this last season. I don't feel like these pieces that we lost, we're not falling off a cliff. That's not how this season's going to go. I honestly feel like this is going to be the first time in almost 20 years, that we are going to have a repeat champion in the NFC East. Everybody's giving Philadelphia the crown for being the offseason champion. I'm going to tell you right now, this team is not falling off a cliff, and you guys were not that close. It's just the reality of your situation. A.J. Brown doesn't change life for Philadelphia, at least in my opinion. I don't think it's going to be that big of a difference for them. It is going to be an improvement, but they still have other problems. And when it comes down to it, when you're looking at us side by side, when it comes to weapons, Dallas still has it. When we come full circle here, when we're talking about these weapons as well, not just focusing on these receivers, I feel like Kellen Moore might be trying to figure out a way to show everybody he's still that mad scientist that people believed he was a few years back. Because from what I've heard on all reports is Tony Pollard is working with the receivers as well. So you've got the potential of having Tony Pollard on the field with Ezekiel Elliott, who looks like he's going to be admirable this season. I don't know if he's going to be a top 5 back this season, but at the bottom line is he had 1,000 yards this past season in double digits when it comes to touchdowns. Hopefully he doesn't drop off too much, and I hope that he fully recovered from that injury, but I think he's going to come back. You have both of these guys with the eligibility of being on the field at once, along with CeeDee Lamb, along with Jalen Tolbert, when Michael Gallup comes back, possibility of James Washington as well, and there's going to be a battle to see who stays on the field, because I really think that Jalen Tolbert is going to come in and take over on one of these wide receiver spots on this offense. And you have some dynamic guys that you can do different things with, and if my assumption is correct, which it may be, it may not be, but I feel like Tony Pollard is going to be some sort of Deebo Samuel role with this offense, playing both running back and receiver. And you're going to have some amazing dynamics coming through this offense. The line is not as bad as a lot of people think it is. And I honestly think that they've done what they needed to do to make sure that they have the pieces to overcome the losses that they had on that offensive line. My biggest concern is Kellen Moore going to be that guy that develops this offense and is able to use the weapons that he has and develop these guys as best that he can and unify them together? And is Mike McCarthy going to, somehow just control the clock, control all the mistakes, control the penalties, and just really become the true leader of this team? Because I don't think he is. I honestly think it's Dan Quinn, but we'll see how all that plays out. Biggest question mark for me, obviously, is going to be Kellen Moore. But I really feel like Dak Prescott is going to come into his own this season. Obviously, that rides a lot on them being cohesive together. But I feel like this is Dak's team now. And it's like at that mode where in his mind, it's like, this is mine. These are my guys. There's no more Dez. There's no more Amari. It's him now. It's the unequivocal leader of the Dallas Cowboys, and I really feel like this is that season where you might see him take that next step forward. When it comes to expectations, I'm thinking they win the East. They defend that title. They reclaim the East. I feel like it needs to be a playoff win this season. But I honestly feel like regardless of what happens, because I feel like I'm also a little bit tongue-in-cheek, because it's like I want the win, but I really don't feel like Mike McCarthy is the future for this franchise. I don't know if they're just going to go after Sean Payton regardless of what happens after the end of the season. But I feel like it's playoff win or bust. Absolutely. I feel like they're not going to get past that second round. Not just yet. I really feel like the biggest thing that's going to hold them back is McCarthy from getting past and getting through that hump. Because I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I think that the Cowboys are Super Bowl bound. There's definitely a lot of questions, and this team is extremely young. It's literally a changing of the guard. It's happening as we're looking at it. And obviously the offseason's still not over. We don't know what's going to happen with everything that could still come into play. But all I do know is I have full faith and full confidence in Dak Prescott and this offense, and I really feel like this is that season where Dak is going to take that next step and maybe even burst through the door into some elite company when it comes to quarterback in this league. Hope y'all like this video. Appreciate y'all sticking around with me, and if y'all like it, follow me for more.